You aren't a victim of your circumstances. You are a victim of your own soft, undisciplined mind. That's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Because the moment you accept it, you lose the comfort of blaming the world for your failures. You seek comfort like it's oxygen. You drown yourself in distractions, excuses, and the validation of people who are just as lost as you are. Every time you hesitate before action, every time you scroll instead of building, every time you need someone else to tell you that you're enough, you are surrendering control. You are handing your future to a world that will chew you up and forget your name before the sun sets. This isn't motivation. This is a dissection. By the end of these 8 laws, the version of you watching right now will feel like a stranger. Weak, fragile, unrecognizable. So you will replace emotional chaos with cold, calculated dominance. But here's the filter. Most people will tap out by law 4. They'll feel the discomfort and run back to their feeds. And law 7? That's the exact reason your relationships are shallow and your bank account is empty. Miss it and nothing changes. Let's begin. Law 1. The internal guillotine. You let your emotions dictate your reality. That makes you a slave to a feeling. You wake up tired, so you hit snooze. You feel anxious about that call, so you delay it. You don't feel motivated, so you skip the work that would actually move your life forward. You have built a prison where your emotions are the warden, and you ask permission to live your own life. This is pathetic. The Stoics had a term for this. They called it the Dichotomy of Control. It's simple, brutal, and most people can't handle it. There are things you control and things you don't. Your effort, yours. Your discipline, yours. Your response to chaos, yours. Everything else, the economy, other people's opinions, the weather, whether someone texts you back, none of it belongs to you. But you waste hours obsessing over things that were never in your hands. You lose sleep over a comment someone made. You spiral because a plan didn't work out the way you imagined. You are bleeding energy into a void that will never give it back. Here's what the internal guillotine does. It severs the connection between you and everything outside your will. One clean cut. No hesitation. No second guessing. You stop asking, what if this doesn't work? You start asking, did I do everything within my power? If the answer is yes, the outcome is irrelevant. If the answer is no, you already know what needs to change. This isn't about positive thinking. This is about surgical precision. You identify what you can control, and you pour everything into that. The rest, you let it burn. You watch it collapse without flinching because it was never yours to save. Most men walk through life like they're waiting for permission. Permission to start the business, permission to speak their mind, permission to walk away from people who drain them. They treat their own decisions like they need a committee vote. You don't need permission. You need a blade sharp enough to cut through the noise. Here's the execution. Tonight, take 5 minutes. Write down every single thing that's been eating at you. Every worry, every fear, every source of stress. Then draw a line down the middle of the page. And on one side, write what you can control. On the other, write what you can't. Look at the second column. That's where your suffering lives. That's the weight you've been carrying for no reason. Those things don't deserve another second of your mental energy. Now burn the page. Physically burn it. Watch the smoke rise and understand this. The moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you become unstoppable in the areas that actually matter. The internal guillotine doesn't make life easier. It makes you harder. And in a world designed to keep you soft, that's the only edge you'll ever need. But control over your own will means nothing if you're still a slave to what others think of you. Law 2. The death of validation. You are addicted to the opinions of people you don't even respect. Hear that again. That's as you change your behavior, your words, your entire identity based on what strangers think. People who have never built anything, People who will forget your name 5 minutes after scrolling past your face. You live for the nod, the like, the approval from a crowd that has zero stake in your success. This is slavery dressed up as social connection. You post something online and then refresh the screen like a lab rat pressing a button for dopamine. You say what you think people want to hear instead of what you actually believe. You dim your light because someone else might feel uncomfortable in the presence of your fire. You have traded your authenticity for applause from an audience that will never pay your bills or show up when your life falls apart. The Stoics had an answer for this. They called it Amor Fati. Love your fate. They love it so deeply, so completely, that the noise outside your walls becomes irrelevant. When you accept your path as the only path worth walking, external praise feels like background static. Validation becomes a distraction, not a destination. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He could have drowned in the worship of millions. Instead, he wrote in his private journal, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." He saw the trap 2,000 years ago, and you're still caught in it. Here's the truth. A lion does not lose sleep over the opinion of sheep. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be respected, and respect is earned through action, not agreement. The moment you stop performing for the crowd, you reclaim the energy you've been bleeding into a void. That energy goes back into your work, your body, your mind. You become dangerous because you are no longer predictable. You are no longer controlled. But this requires a death. The death of the version of you that needs to be understood, the version that explains yourself to people who are never going to get it anyway. You kill that need, and you rise. Here's the execution. For the next 7 days, post nothing. Say nothing online. Don't check your notifications. Don't seek feedback. Just build in silence. Work on the project. Train your body. Read the book. Do the thing that actually compounds value in your life. At first, you'll feel the itch, the withdrawal, the desperate need to share, to be seen, to be validated. That discomfort is the addiction leaving your system. Sit with it. Let it burn. By day 7, something shifts. You realize the work felt better without an audience. You realize you don't need the applause to keep moving. You've tasted freedom, and it's cold and clean and yours. A lion does not lose sleep over the opinion of sheep, and you were never meant to be prey. Now that you've stopped caring what others think, it's time to stop caring what your body wants. Law 3. Voluntary starvation. Your physical comfort has turned your mind into mush. You live in a temperature-controlled box. Your meals are delivered to your door. Your entertainment is one click away. You have engineered a life where you never have to feel cold, hungry, or uncomfortable for more than 5 minutes. And you wonder why your willpower is non-existent. Comfort is a slow poison. It doesn't kill you quickly, yet it just makes you weaker every single day until you can't handle the smallest inconvenience without falling apart. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They didn't wait for hardship to arrive. They invited it in. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, would sleep on a hard floor and eat cheap bread for days at a time. Not because he had to, because he wanted to kill the fear of losing it all before that fear could kill him. You need to do the same. Right now, you are terrified of discomfort. You avoid the cold shower because it feels bad. You skip the early morning because your bed feels good. You order takeout because cooking feels like work. Every single time you choose ease over effort, you are training yourself to be weak. Then you are programming your brain to run from resistance instead of walking straight through it. This makes you fragile, breakable, pathetic. Voluntary starvation isn't about punishing yourself. It's about inoculation. You expose yourself to controlled doses of hardship so that when real hardship arrives, and it will, you don't crumble. You stand, you adapt, you survive. Most people collapse the first time life gets hard because they've spent years avoiding anything that didn't feel good. They have no calluses, no tolerance, no foundation. When the storm hits, they drown. You won't be most people. Here's the execution. Pick one area of comfort and destroy it for the next 30 days. Take cold showers every morning. Sleep on the floor once a week. Fast for 24 hours. Cut your food budget in half and eat like you're broke. To train in clothes that are too thin for the weather. Make yourself uncomfortable on purpose. At first, it will feel brutal. Your body will beg you to stop. Your mind will invent 1,000 reasons why this is unnecessary. Ignore them. The discomfort is the medicine. The suffering is the cure. After 30 days, check yourself. Notice how much easier it is to do hard things. Notice how the small problems that used to derail you don't even register anymore. Notice how you stopped waiting for the perfect conditions to take action because you've proven you don't need them. Luxury is a leash. Comfort is a cage. Voluntary starvation is the key that sets you free. Practice poverty now, or it will practice on you later. And when it does, you won't be ready. You've learned to endure physical discomfort. Now comes the hardest part. Law 4, the silent fortress. This is where most people quit. You talk too much because you're desperate to be understood. Every plan you have, you announce. Every goal you set, you broadcast. Every idea that crosses your mind, you spill into conversations with people who don't care and won't remember. You treat your words like they're free, but they're costing you everything. They made it through the first 3 laws, but this one cuts too deep, because this one exposes the truth. You talk to feel important. You speak to fill the void. You explain yourself because silence feels like weakness, and you can't stand the thought of being misunderstood. But power is found in what you don't say. The Stoics understood this. Epictetus said, "If you wish to be a writer, write. Not talk about writing. Not post about your writing routine. Not explain your future bestseller to anyone who will listen. Just write. The work speaks. Everything else is noise. When you announce your intentions, you get a hit of dopamine. Your brain registers the goal as partially complete just because you said it out loud. The urgency dies. The fire dims. You've already received the reward without doing the work, so why would you push through the hard part? You wouldn't, and you don't. Look at your life. How many things have you talked about doing that you never did? How many times have you killed your own momentum by seeking approval before you had results to show? You've been bleeding your power into conversations that should have never happened. Silence is a fortress. It protects your goals from the opinions of people who will try to shrink them. It shields your focus from the doubt of those who never had the courage to try. It keeps your energy locked inside where it can compound into action instead of evaporating into air. Let your results be the only noise you make. Here's the execution. For the next 90 days, go silent on your goals. Don't tell anyone what you're working on. Don't post progress updates. Don't explain your vision. If someone asks what you're up to, give them a one-word answer and move on. Working. That's it. This will feel unnatural. You'll want to share. You'll want the encouragement. You'll want someone to witness your effort. Resist. That need for external validation is the weakness we killed in Law 2. Don't resurrect it now. Instead, channel that energy into execution. Every time you feel the urge to talk, go do another rep. Write another page. Make another call. Let the silence build pressure inside you until the only release is more work. 90 days from now, show up with proof. Not promises, not explanations. Proof. Results so undeniable that words become unnecessary. A heavy iron gate doesn't ask permission to close, it just shuts. Loudly, permanently, sealing off everything that doesn't belong inside. Build your fortress. Guard it with silence. Let the world wonder what you're building until it's already built. Silence protects you from the outside world. But what about the chaos inside your own head? Law 5. The emotional filter. You react instantly, proving you have no filter between your gut and your mouth. Someone disrespects you, and you explode. Someone challenges your opinion, and you spiral into an argument. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and you let it poison the next 2 hours of your day. You are a puppet, and your emotions are the strings. Every external event pulls you in a different direction, and you call this living. It's not. It's chaos dressed up as authenticity. The Stoics called this cognitive distance, the space between stimulus and response. Most people have none. Something happens, and they react immediately. No thought, no pause, no control. They are controlled by every passing feeling, like leaves in the wind. You need to become the mountain, not the weather. Mountains don't move when the storm arrives. They don't flinch when the wind screams. They stand, unmoved, unshaken. The chaos happens around them, never inside them. That's what you're building. A mind so fortified that external turbulence can't penetrate the walls. But right now, you're the weather. Erratic, unpredictable, weak. Here's what cognitive distance looks like in practice. Something happens that would normally set you off. Instead of reacting, you observe. You watch the anger rise inside you, like you're a scientist studying a specimen. You notice the heat in your chest, the tension in your jaw, the urge to speak, and then you choose. Not react, choose. This is power, real power, the kind that can't be taken from you because it was never dependent on external conditions in the first place. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He ruled an empire during plagues, wars, and betrayals. If he could maintain composure in that environment, you can handle a rude email. And most men are controlled by their impulses because they've never practiced the pause. They think speed is strength. It's not. Speed without direction is just flailing. Reaction without thought is just weakness with momentum. Here's the execution. For the next 30 days, implement the 3-breath rule. Anytime something triggers you, an insult, a setback, a frustration, stop. Take 3 deep breaths before you respond. In those breaths, ask yourself one question. Is this reaction moving me closer to who I want to become, or further away? Most of the time, the answer will stop you cold. You'll realize the reaction you were about to have would have made you look weak, impulsive, or out of control. You'll realize the person or situation trying to pull you off center doesn't deserve that much power over your internal state. After 30 days, the pause becomes automatic. You stop being a slave to every emotional wave that crashes into you. You become the observer, the architect, the one in control. A chaotic storm rages outside the window. Inside, a single candle flame stands perfectly still. It doesn't flicker, it doesn't react, it just burns. Be the flame, not the storm. You've mastered your internal reactions. Now it's time to weaponize the external obstacles. Law 6. The obstacle's grave. You see a problem and you turn back. You're looking for an exit, not a way through. Every obstacle becomes evidence that you should quit. Every setback becomes proof that it wasn't meant to be. Every closed door becomes a reason to stop knocking. You treat resistance like rejection when it's actually selection. The universe isn't blocking you. It's testing whether you deserve what's on the other side. You don't. Not yet. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't philosophy. This is engineering. Every problem you face contains the blueprint for your next evolution. But you'll never see it because you're too busy complaining about the problem existing in the first place. The obstacle isn't in your way, it is the way. Think about it. You want to build a business, but you have no money. That forces you to learn sales, copywriting, and resourcefulness. Those skills make you more valuable than someone who started with a trust fund. You want to get in shape, but you have bad genetics. That forces you to be more disciplined with nutrition and training than someone who was born lean. That discipline bleeds into every area of your life and makes you unstoppable. The fire that consumes the wood is the same fire that creates the light. But most people don't see it this way. They see an obstacle and immediately start scanning for the escape route. They want the goal without the grind, the result without the resistance, the destination without the difficulty. And because they refuse to go through the hard thing, they never get to the other side where the reward lives. You have been conditioned to avoid pain, to seek the path of least resistance, to optimize for comfort instead of growth. That conditioning has kept you small, safe, and stuck. Here's the shift. Stop asking, how do I avoid this problem? Start asking, how does this problem make me stronger? Every single obstacle is either exposing a weakness you need to fix or building a strength you didn't know you had. Either way, you win. But only if you engage. Here's the execution. Identify the biggest obstacle in your life right now. The one you've been avoiding. The one that makes you anxious just thinking about it. Write it down. Then write this sentence underneath it. This obstacle is here to build me, not break me. Now, reverse engineer it. What skill does solving this problem require? What weakness does it expose? What version of you exists on the other side of this challenge that doesn't exist yet? Then attack it. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. Take one concrete action today that moves you closer to solving it. Even if it's small. Even if it's uncomfortable. Especially if it's uncomfortable. The obstacle's grave is the foundation of your empire. Every problem you bury becomes the ground you stand on. The higher you want to rise, the deeper you need to dig. Stop looking for the exit. There isn't one. There's only forward, and forward always goes through. You've learned to turn obstacles into fuel, but there's one obstacle you've been ignoring. The people around you. Law 7. The social assassin. Remember what I said at the beginning? This is it. This is the law that explains why your relationships are shallow and your bank account is empty. You keep losers in your circle because you're afraid to be alone. Hear that until it hurts. You tolerate people who drain you, distract you, and dilute your standards because the alternative, solitude, terrifies you more than mediocrity. Ducky, you surround yourself with comfort, not competence, with familiarity, not excellence. And then you wonder why your life looks exactly like theirs. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's not motivation. That's math. If your circle is full of people who complain more than they create, who consume more than they build, who talk about dreams but never take action, you will become that. Proximity is destiny. The Stoics understood this. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving. The process is a mutual one. People learn as they teach." Notice what's missing from that statement. Sentimentality, nostalgia, the idea that you owe loyalty to people just because you've known them a long time. You don't. Loyalty without standards is just enabling weakness. Yours and theirs. Here's what most people won't tell you. Some people in your life are anchors. They will drown you to avoid drowning alone. They will mock your ambition because it highlights their lack of it. They will invite you to waste time because your progress makes them uncomfortable. And you stay because you don't want to be the bad guy. You don't want to be alone. So you choose slow death over temporary discomfort. Treat your time like a finite currency because it is. Every hour spent with someone who adds nothing is an hour stolen from someone who could add everything, including yourself. Spend your time only on the elite, or spend it in solitude. There is no third option that leads to greatness. Here's the execution. Audit your circle right now. It is every person you interact with regularly. Ask yourself 3 questions. Do they challenge me to be better? Do they hold standards I respect? Would I want to become more like them? If the answer to all 3 is no, you have a decision to make. Distance. Not cruelty, not drama, just space. Stop initiating. Stop being available. Let the relationship fade into what it was always meant to be. Nothing. This will hurt. Some of these people have been in your life for years. You'll feel guilt. You'll feel selfish. Good. That discomfort is your old self dying. The version of you that valued being liked over being excellent. The new version doesn't have that problem. A lone wolf walks away from the lights of a cluttered, noisy city. It doesn't look back. It doesn't explain. It just moves toward the dark forest where the real hunters live. As I cut the dead weight, keep the wolves, become untouchable. You've eliminated the external distractions. Now comes the final law, the one that makes all of this matter. Law 8. The memento mori execution. You act like you have 1,000 years to live. You don't. You waste hours on distractions because you think time is infinite. You delay the hard conversations, the difficult decisions, the work that actually matters because you believe there will always be another day, another week, another year. You scroll. You procrastinate. You numb yourself with entertainment while your life burns quietly in the background. Time is not infinite, and every second you spend being weak is a second you've murdered your potential. The Stoics meditated on death daily, not to be morbid, not to be depressed, to be awake. Memento mori, and a remember you must die. This wasn't a curse, it was a gift. Because the moment you accept that your time here is limited, everything changes. Suddenly, the argument you've been avoiding needs to happen today. The business you've been planning needs to start now. The relationship that's been dead for months needs to end immediately. The body you've been neglecting needs attention this morning. You stop waiting for permission, for the perfect moment, for conditions that will never arrive. You act. Because you finally understand that later is a lie you tell yourself to avoid discomfort now. Marcus Aurelius wrote this in his journal, knowing he could die any day. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. He ruled the most powerful empire on earth and still understood he was one breath away from nothing. If he lived with that urgency, what's your excuse? Most people sleepwalk through life until something forces them awake. A diagnosis, a death, a disaster. And then they panic. They realize they wasted years on things that didn't matter and people who didn't care. They realize they never built the thing, never said the words, never took the risk. And by then, it's too late. You won't be most people. This realization shouldn't paralyze you. It should make you ruthless. Every second spent complaining is theft. Every hour spent in fake productivity is a crime against your future. Every day spent waiting for motivation is a betrayal of the person you're supposed to become. Here's the execution. Set a timer on your phone. Every morning at the same time, it goes off with 2 words. Memento mori. When it sounds, stop what you're doing and ask yourself one question. If today was my last day, would I be proud of how I'm spending it? If the answer is no, course correct immediately. Not after you finish scrolling. Not after this episode. Now. Then take the hardest task on your list and do it without music, without distractions, without negotiating with yourself. No comfort, no excuses, just execution. A loud ticking clock fills the room, each second deliberate, finite, unforgiving. Then it stops. The screen goes black. The silence that follows is yours to fill or waste. Choose now, because now is all you have, and it's already disappearing. If you made it this far, you're already different. And most people tapped out at Law 4 like I said they would. They felt the discomfort and ran back to their feeds, their comfort, their excuses. But you're still here? That means something. Not everything, but something. Now prove it. If you have the discipline to kill your weaker self today, comment one word below. Unbreakable. Not for me, not for the algorithm. For you. It's a contract with yourself, witnessed by the few who made it this far. The moment you type that word, you've drawn a line in the sand. On one side is the old you, soft, reactive, ruled by feelings. On the other side is who you're becoming, cold, disciplined, unbreakable. But comments mean nothing without action. So here's what happens next. Close this app. Right now. Not after the next video. Not after you check your notifications. Now. As take out whatever task you've been avoiding. The one that's been sitting on your list for days, maybe weeks. The hard one. The uncomfortable one. The one that actually moves your life forward. Do it without music, without distractions, without complaining. Sit in the silence and the discomfort and do the work anyway. No negotiations, no delays, no mercy. The era of weakness ends the second you put down this phone. Everything you've heard in the last however many minutes was just information. It becomes transformation only when you act. So act, or stay exactly where you are, comfortable,